Hi everyone, this is Selvi. Today's topic is what is sprint goal? Before getting into the details of sprint goal, let's try to understand what is a goal with a simple example, then get into the sprint goal and its benefits and why are we creating it and all those things we can go through. Now let's try to understand what is a goal. Goal is a target, right? It's a target that we are planning to achieve. To achieve that, we need to do certain things, then we will be able to achieve the target. So goal is a target basically. Now let's try to understand from a very simple example. It's a Sunday morning. I already invited few of my friends for lunch. My goal today is to prepare a delicious lunch for my friends. But now I have only 3 hours. After 3 hours, anytime my friends may visit my home for lunch. So I need to be really ready with all the recipes, whatever I am planning to achieve the goal of delicious lunch in 3 hours. Now, what I'm doing is like to achieve my goal of preparing the delicious lunch, I am picking up some of the recipes which I'm very comfortable with so that my friends also will be liking that. So when I say delicious lunch, my definition on that is I should prepare one rice, I should prepare some curries, I should make a sweet. So now I ensure that these all items I need to prepare so that my goal is achieved. Now let's try to understand from this example some of the key elements. So here my goal is, that is the target that I am setting is preparing a delicious lunch for my friends. What are the things that I am doing to achieve my target or goal? I am preparing some recipes. Do I have the luxury of spending good amount of time to prepare the recipes? No, it is a time boxed event. That is, I have only 3 hours from now for the lunchtime. So I need to ensure that all these items that I am planning should be ready in 3 hours. So the key elements here we discussed are goal or the target, the time period, and to achieve the target, I have prepared some recipes. Now let's come to our actual software development process. What is a sprint goal here? As I have delicious lunch preparation as my goal, similarly, for every sprint, we target on something. When we say we target on something, we have a definite objective to achieve from the sprint. That is called a sprint goal. How to achieve that goal? With the help of sprint backlog items. Like how I have achieved the goal of preparing a delicious lunch for my friends with the help of a rice, some curries, and a sweet. Similarly, with the help of sprint backlog items, by implementing those items, the sprint goal is achieved. In my delicious lunch goal, have I picked something that won't fit in the lunch menu? No, I have picked all the items that will very well go for the lunch menu. Similarly, the sprint backlog items that we are picking from the product backlog should always associate to the sprint goal, because why we are creating the goal? The goal is our target. For achieving the target, we need the items that are going to be associated with the goal, then only at the end we can achieve the goal. If I am randomly picking something, at the end my goal will not be achieved because there is a gap between the sprint backlog items and the sprint goal. That we should not encourage. Like how I say delicious lunch is my goal, and I have picked the recipes or the items in my menu that is associated with the lunch. Similar way, the sprint backlog items are associated with the sprint goal that what we have planned. Then only we can achieve it. As in my lunch preparation, I have only 3 hours to prepare all my recipes. Similar way, to achieve or implement all the sprint backlog items, we have a time period of the sprint. So we need to ensure what is manageable in that period that we will be picking as part of the sprint backlog, and it is also associated with the sprint goal. Like I had 3 hours and I have picked the right items that fit in the lunch menu, and I ensured that I am achieving the goal of preparing a delicious lunch. And always ensure, are we setting the goal which is measurable? When I say measurable, I can very well say that my delicious lunch preparation has been measured with the help of the items that I am making, whether it is giving 80% satisfaction or 100%. That's the reason I picked a main course, I picked a starter, I picked a sweet. So it is something like I am ensuring that my meal has every set of package so that it can be called as a delicious lunch. Similarly, all the sprint items, all the sprint backlog items that we are picking, at the end, whether it is achieving the goal or not, we should be able to measure it. For that, we need to pick the right items. So I try to kind of correlate with my example and the sprint goal in the project execution. Now let's try to understand step by step what are the key points we need to remember when we say sprint goal. So sprint goal is a target that we are planning to achieve at the end of the sprint. How can we achieve the sprint goal? With the help of sprint backlog items that we are going to implement in the period of sprint. As we all know, sprint is a time boxed event or time boxed execution period. So in this period, what all the items that we can implement, those items will be picked up in the sprint backlog, and that will at the end achieve the sprint goal what we have set as the target. And above all, it should also be in a position to measure it. It should not be something like what is the actual goal, have we achieved it or not, how we can measure it. So we should have the right target and right set of items, then only we can measure it, whether we have achieved it or not. So the sprint goal should always be measurable. We should not create some goal that cannot be measured at all. So we should be very clear and crisp with the information that it is measurable. Like, yeah, it is a delicious lunch. If I'm saying like prepare some food item, how can I measure whether it comes in the lunch or it is a dinner or it is a breakfast? I am not aware of what is that. In similar way, if I'm not setting any goal for my sprint and I'm just saying comfortable items can be implemented during the sprint which are prioritized, that means it's not, because many items are prioritized. So how are we going to measure whether we are really achieving the goal or not? So here we need to be really clear whether we are able to measure it or not. So who is going to create this? This will be created by the collaborative effort from development team and the product owner. Product owner will initiate and start the discussion about the sprint goal on the sprint planning meeting. We will be talking about sprint planning event separately after this episode. But sprint goal is actually decided in the sprint planning meeting. This will be initiated by product owner and the development team as a collaborative effort. So how it looks like, and any such example in our real scenario? Yes, of course we can share some example. Implement the search functionality. This is the goal. So at the end of the sprint, we are expecting search functionality to be implemented. So for that, what all the things that we need to pick up in the sprint? We need to ensure that we are going to do a text search. We are going to have special character search. We are going to implement search results in the pagination format. All these things should be implemented. Then only we can say that we have implemented search functionality with the help of these work items. So our goal is to implement search functionality. For that, the associated work item should be picked in the sprint backlog. Then at the end, we can say, okay, yes, we have completed 100% of search functionality. We are very precise, very clear, and very crisp, so that we are able to even measure that we have completed it or not. For example, we have completed the search functionality, but we have not completed the display of results, search results completely. Then we can say, like, at the end, okay, in this sprint goal, whatever we have planned for this sprint, we have achieved only 90% or only 80%. We can measure it very clearly. So this will give us the confidence where are we and whether we are able to achieve the 100% what we have planned for this goal or not. All those things can be really measurable in this case. Now, why we need to create this? What is the whole purpose of this? So for anything and everything, a goal, a target we need to set. That will help us in achieving things in a better way. The same thing is applicable here as well. We know that we are going to work on certain functionalities, implementing certain functionalities in 10 days or 15 days in a period of sprint. What is our goal? What are we trying to achieve in this 10 days, in this 15 days? So for that, to make a very clear information to all the team members, this sprint goal is helpful. Not only for the team members, in addition, let's take stakeholders who are actually working with this team. They want to really understand what is the goal that the team is looking for from the sprint. What is their target? What can I expect at the end of the sprint? Oh, okay, implementing the search functionality, they really no need to go through the sprint backlog items. At a very high level, they'll be able to understand when they are reading the sprint goal. It is just a statement, right? It's maybe a 1-line or 2-line statement. So in that way, they can just read that, okay, if I'm a stakeholder, oh, okay, team A is working on implementing the search functionality. Okay, team B is working on catalog menu, implementing the catalog menu or the catalog options. So I no need to really get into the details of sprint backlog to understand what I can expect from these teams at the end of the sprint. I can very well read the sprint goal to understand, okay, this is the target the team had set, and I can also expect these things at the end of the sprint. And this is going to help the team members to understand the clear picture, what is their target. At the same time, during the sprint review, what can we expect in the sprint review meeting? What are the items that we will be able to see in the sprint review? Those things also will be very much clear from the sprint goal. As I mentioned, implementing the search functionality. As a stakeholder, from the sprint planning also I can understand, okay, team is working on the search functionality. So during the sprint review, I can expect and I can see a working product that has the search functionality in it. So in a way, sprint goal is helping not only the team members to understand their target, it is also helpful to stakeholders to understand what actually team is working on now and what I can expect at the end of the sprint from the team in the working product. They really no need to get into the details of the sprint backlog to understand what is team working now. So, in a nutshell, sprint goal is a statement that will be created on the sprint planning event. It is created by the development team and the product owner as a collaborative effort. The sprint goal is a target that will be achieved with the help of implementing the sprint backlog items that we pick from the product backlog to the sprint backlog. So whenever we are picking the work items from product backlog to sprint backlog, we should always align with the sprint goal, because as a team we are going to commit on the sprint goal and we are going to work on that. So to achieve that sprint goal, what are the things I need? That only I should ensure that I'm picking from the product backlog to sprint backlog. Now, it is also beneficial for team members to understand their target, and also for the stakeholders to understand what is happening in the sprint by teams without actually getting into the details of the sprint backlog, and at the same time what they can expect during the sprint review from the teams. This is all about sprint goal I want to share. Hopefully this episode would have helped many of you in understanding what is a sprint goal. Thanks everyone for listening. Happy learning and stay tuned.